What's going on, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Reseller Greatness Podcast. Today we have Johnny B, half of another tremendous podcast. So maybe talk a little bit about that. Tell us what you do, where you're from, where you came from, where are you at. Very excited to have you today, sir. I love listening to you on the media call, love listening to you on the 100K call. You always bring great discussion, great ideas, and interesting things to talk about. So hopefully for the next hour, that's what we provide the people. It's a lot of weight on your shoulders today, Johnny B, but we got to come with the heat for one more hour, sir. So
All
without
right.
further ado, tell them a little bit about yourself, where they can find you, what you do, where you came from.
Sure. My name is Johnny B. I am a bookseller on both Amazon and eBay, primarily on Amazon these days. I come from Texas, but I've lived around the country. I've lived in North Carolina, Ohio, North Dakota, but most of my life on and off has been in Texas, currently in Texas. As far as where you can find me, the Used Book Guy on YouTube. That's where I run a podcast with my co-host Mike. He's the host. I'm the co-host, really. I just show up. And he runs a phenomenal YouTube channel that's outside the podcast, primarily about how to do Amazon and do it successfully and think about your business. It's primarily business focused, but it's within the business of Amazon, if that makes any kind of sense. Um, I live in a very small town these days, population about 3,500 people. Um, and that just goes to show it doesn't matter where you're at, you can be successful, whether it's in a big city or a little small town. We have other people in our group that are in smaller towns than mine that are very successful.
Very good. So you have about 20,000 items on Amazon, about 5 or 6,000 items on eBay. How have you amassed 25, 30,000 items in a very small town of 3,500 people?
A lot of hours. Um, no, just networking, going here, going there, even outside of my state. I've been to both California and Florida now doing this business and some places in between those two. It's just if the opportunity is right, I have to go. It doesn't matter where it's at. It doesn't have to be down the road for me at the thrift store. It could be states away if it's the right deal. I'll go for it. Um, I also have a small brick and mortar store that I run inside my warehouse. That's been a fun experience this year. So that helps with the accumulation of books I have because not all books I acquire can indeed go to Amazon or eBay. So they either need to go somewhere or the trash. I decided to have the somewhere and just made a storefront out of it.
Very good. So a couple of years ago, you only sold on eBay.
Yes.
You were selling books on eBay. You decided to make a little bit of a transition and start selling some books on Amazon as well. Why did you decide to add that as an addition to the business?
I joined right at the beginning of US COVID. The COVID was happening before that, but when I started getting to reselling, I joined at the height of where COVID was starting for the United States. So just like everybody else, sales were great during that
Yeah,
time.
you got in at the right time,
I
Johnny
got
B.
in at the right time. We came out of that time and I started to see what sales are outside of a COVID environment. And I went up, but I didn't go up as much as I had forecasted because I was basing my forecast on what was happening in COVID. This is great. Money
Yeah,
all around for everybody.
raining from the sky.
Loved it.
Yeah,
Good times. Need those. Well, I'm not going to say we need those times back, but I like the money from it. Um, so I
yeah. Just
saw
just
my, oh,
just print more money. That way we can make more money. But then
yeah,
things that we want to buy cost more money. So we have more dollars, but can't buy anything with the dollars.
exactly. Like I look at the price of milk and gas these days, I'm like, dollar don't mean as much as it used to be,
But
but
we
every
have more
generation.
dollars, Johnny.
I got more, but I can buy less. It's lovely. Um, so I forecasted, okay, if this is the current day, how would it work? And I gave it the college try of dialing every knob I could on eBay. Had multitudes of discussions on the media call and various other calls, trying to force it to how do I crank up the dial monetarily wise? And I had some success, but not as big enough success as I wanted. So I was like, okay, I need to either change what I'm selling or I need to change the platform I'm selling on. So I love books. passion for it. So I was like, okay, I'm going to try an additional platform, which was Amazon, and the sell-through rate was phenomenal. I was like, okay, I just need to dump it all in here, keep eBay going. Where who's paying me the most? That's who's going to get most of my work.
That's
So
right.
in this, for instance, it was Amazon. So I had to put more of my work into Amazon, less of my work into eBay, but keep eBay going.
That's right. And contrary to popular belief, the money on eBay and the money on Amazon is still the same color green, right? It's still the same kind of money. So
Absolutely.
it doesn't matter where we are selling our widgets, we just have to sell the widgets. It doesn't matter if it's eBay in your brick and mortar store, if you're selling it on the corner, so long as we are buying stuff and selling it for a profit, the rest doesn't matter. So
Exactly.
how do you decide or divvy up what is an eBayable book, what is an Amazon abayable book? How how does that go?
I have fun with those words too. So book comes in or quantity of books comes in. I take the first book. It's all about processing. So I process for Amazon first because that's who pays me the most. So they get first priority. If it's something I need to look up, it goes a different pile for later. But if it's a way we have tools on Amazon we can use. So if I can use my handheld tool to identify if it's for Amazon, great, it'll go in the Amazon pile. If it fails for Amazon, it'll go to the check for eBay pile. Um, and if it fails for both, well, lucky for me, I have a storefront that it'll go into. As far as what do I access, it's based off sell-through rate, not necessarily the dollar value, as long as it's positive dollars, mind you. I don't care if it's a quarter, I don't care if it's $200. If it can go to Amazon and will sell on Amazon because the tool tells me that it will, it's going to go to Amazon. Now, eBay, I have a kind of a process for that. I have a gentleman I also deal with. I allow him to look at my eBayable books first because I get more books than anything, more books than I could list. So I allow him to look at them. If he wants it, I'll put him in a box for him and it'll get mailed off to him. Done with that. But the things he doesn't want that are eBayable, that'll go in my eBay store in my queue pile, essentially. So that's how I divvy them up.
Nice. So let's say you get 100 books on average. What do the piles look like between the, I guess, four avenues that you're currently using?
Sure. I would say about 20% of it will be Amazonable. I would say about 10% more of that will be eBayable. And from that eBayable pile, he'll pull 0.5%, my wholesale person. And so the rest is storefrontable.
So we're talking like 70% goes to the storefront.
70% or more will go to the storefront. And I run my storefront not like a bookstore. I run it like a liquidation store. My prices are low. I have box deals. I offer a free book a day. They need to go. I'm done with it. I've made as much money out of my 30% as I acquire. And keep in mind, my cost of goods, a lot of it's donation based. Sometimes I pay for it. It's by the pound, like 15 cents. So it's cheap. I could afford to give books away. It's fine.
So is the giving a book away a day a tactic to get people into the brick and mortar store to buy more books?
Absolutely. Because they don't stop, book people don't stop with one book. They have problems like hoarders. They need more than one book. So
How
it's like give the first one away free and they'll be back, right?
how do you get the word out in a 3,500 person town that you have a bookstore?
Um, Unconventional but old school conventional means. I'll use newspaper ads. I'll use word of mouth, the local groups like the church groups, the senior citizen homes, because small town people, they talk. They
Sure,
still talk with each other.
sure.
Small neighborhoods, they meet out in the street, they have conversations, right? So word of mouth is my biggest one. But to get the word of mouth outside of people walking my door and telling everybody, newspaper ads, going to groups and functions, letting them know I exist. And lately, what I've added into the mix is people selling on Facebook books. I'll message them, hey, I'm glad you're selling your book, but if you're unable to sell it, here's where I'm located. We can also pay you for the book. You can't sell it yourself on Facebook. So resellers of another type, the Facebook sellers, right? Who had maybe got their mom and dad's books, or maybe they're looking to downsize, or they're going to move and they don't want to take the books with them. I'm offering them a solution versus a service. And it comes to me. They ask if I'm going to pick them up. My minimum pickup these days, I'll tell them is 1,000 books. So they're forced to come here because very few of them have 1,000+ books. They maybe have a couple hundred, which is a few boxes worth. So I force them to come to me.
So the customer for the store, like you see Pam like twice a week then, right? Like you have the same kind of people coming in all the time, or is it a bunch of new people all the time?
I would say a lot of it's new. I do have repeat customers that come every week and some of them every day. So the ones that come every day, they get their free book and leave. And those are mainly I found to be nurses.
Okay.
They'll grab one book on their lunch break and leave. They don't even ring the bell anymore. I'm like, you don't need to ring the bell. Just take the book and leave. It's fine. Um, but the nurses are very active. We have a hospital in towns. Why? There's not much
Mhm.
to do in my town. I'm one of the few grab your leisure activity things and leave. They're in and out. They're nurses. They're busy people, right?
I've been doing traveling in like every city I go to, I go, what is there to do in this city? Like when you search that on Google, it's go to Johnny B's bookstore, right? Like what to do in this city. You either
Yeah, I
drive
mean,
by the hospital or go to the bookstore.
we have a there's a car show every Saturday. That's the big draw in my town. And sometimes we still have parades where they shut down
Oh,
the
Main
streets to
Street.
get to anywhere, which is annoying when you're trying to make your eBay mail run and you've got horses in the way and the 4-H club in the way, and it's 15 minutes to close. And the post office knows the parade, but they're going to shut those doors no matter what. They don't care if there's a parade or not.
But Johnny
It's
B, it's the
terrible.
4-H club.
Yeah, the high school has a 4-H club. And they never send me a memo about when this thing's gonna have to go on. I learned this my first year that I was late, but I got lucky because the post office, all of them were outside watching the parade. I wheeled in and I was like, "You're not closing the doors. I'm mailing my eBay packages."
Are you a little bit jaded because they had a Labor Day parade the other day, Johnny B?
A little bit, yes. I still I'm trying to do my business. I'm trying to get to work. eBay don't care if there's a parade. They're not going to care about my small town's parade. They're not.
That's great. So, all right. So it's pretty insane that 25 or 30% of the books that you receive are good enough for you to sell. And then on top of that, are good enough for you to make a profit and run your business. That's pretty insane coming from like any other niche's perspective.
Yes. But
How do
again, I'm
you
willing to take a quarter on some books. I don't think most niches are willing to take a quarter, but to me, it's a volume game. So I think that's the main
absolutely.
difference between myself and other niches.
Right, but like the taking a quarter, all you're doing is zap it, put a barcode on it, throw it in a box, and it's up the road. So
Yeah.
like if you were doing that on eBay, I would say Johnny B, you're out of your mind. But you do that on Amazon, it's no problem because it's just about just feeding the beast and trying to get as many items as possible as you can over there before Amazon does the rug pull. Do you have any experience with any Amazon rug pulls, Johnny B? And let's just set the
I've
table
tried
about the rug
Amazon once
pull.
before.
Yep.
So,
So set the table on what the Amazon rug pull is.
okay. Okay. This is going to be good. So, back when Amazon had restock limits, which they controlled how much you could send in. So they had everybody about 1,000 units, so 1,000 widgets. In my case, was books. So I spent my first 6 months trying to get what they have as the buy box.
That's right.
I got it month of August, and 2 weeks later, they cut my restock limits to 100 units. So I could
From
not
a
send any
thousand?
more in, and I had just gotten it, and I had to wait for it to go way down. But they did not change it for 6 months. And
So
it
you
was
were
everybody.
capped
It
at a
wasn't just
hundred
me.
for six
Six
months?
months. I could not send anything in. And I thought to myself, I cannot run a business off. Well, I could, but I don't want to run a business off 6 months of the year. So I pulled out of Amazon completely. I'm like, all right, full on eBay, let's go. And this is the year I cranked it up, got employees, got down to one employee. We tried to just bang it out. More listings than I've ever done. I think I was doing 72, 76 listings a day at that point. And we pushed it as hard as we could. And that's when I came to the realization that this doesn't work outside of the COVID thing as much as I would like it to. It works and percents go up, but if I'm going to crank it like this, I want to get paid for it like that. I want my hourly
Sure.
rate to be up. My hourly rate books are very slow turnover on eBay. Um, and so I was like, okay, I need to pivot back in. the Amazon landscape had changed. They weren't locking us out 6 months out of the year. Like, I'll give it one more try. Otherwise, I really need to figure this out or switch the product I'm doing. But fortunately for me, the Amazon game as it is now, very lucrative. So I was like, this works. We're going to do this full bore.
Nice. So the Amazon rug pulls, they have a set of terms, a set of rules, a set of an agreement per se of Johnny B. You could do X, Y, and Z. Johnny B does X, Y, and Z, and then they send an email at 4 o'clock in the morning, no warning, and say, you know what, Johnny B, we know you've been doing X, Y, and Z, but now you have to do A, B, C, and now your whole business is upended, and now you have to do a different tactic and run a different business.
My favorite thing they ever did to me is they sent me an email. You can no longer sell books on Amazon. This was a real thing. It
Oh,
lasted 2 days before they came out again and said that email was a mistake. Our bad, Amazon.
what?
You can no longer sell used books on Amazon. It went out to everybody. They did
Okay,
this to the
so
toy guys like 4 years before that. Same
yeah.
thing. Our
So
bad. We didn't mean it. Just kidding.
how is so they mistakenly typed an email
They
and then they
apparently this
mistakenly
email
sent it.
exists to send out to people when and if they choose. Somebody accidentally sent it out.
So they have like a doomsday Amazon
Doomsday
book
scenario. We
email,
no longer want you to sell this type of
and
product
someone pressed
at
the button.
Amazon. Yeah.
Oh, so someone pressed the nuclear button on the book
For the book
doomsday
guys. Yeah.
email.
So everybody was like, huh.
You
Well, I
remember a
guess
couple
I
of
got to
years ago?
examine what I'm doing with my business.
You
Huh.
remember a few years ago where they had like a lot of like tense situation between us and North Korea, and the state of Hawaii accidentally sent out the email that said there's nuclear bombs coming towards Hawaii. Everyone was going crazy. They were
Yeah.
ducking for cover, and then they were like, "Oh, my bad, that was a mistake." So that happened to all booksellers.
To all booksellers. Toy guys got it a few years prior. Same thing to them. Everybody's mad, upset, frowny face. What am I going to be doing with my business? Because I still need to eat, right? I still need to pay the bills.
So for those 48 hours, aside sitting in a dark room and not getting out of bed, what did you do?
I started doing more eBay listings. Like, okay, if it's going to be like that, you don't love me anymore. eBay still does.
Could you imagine if you got out of bed, you recalled all of your inventory and it's halfway to you and they go, oops, our bad. It's gonna send it back.
Yeah, yeah. Or we're going to mail back everything you sent, and we're going to charge you for it on top of that.
Yeah,
Uh,
man. So, all right.
Amazon don't play. When they send something out, you just got to suck it up. You
Yeah.
just really
And
do.
you just got to do a backflip and go, yes, sir, and change your whole business and operate like that. So that is, a little bit different than eBay. eBay will tell you from a mile away, hey, we're going to
Yeah, they'll
make
give you a
these
3 month
changes.
notice.
Yeah, we're going to make these changes 9 months from now. Just prepare yourself. So, why doesn't or didn't eBay work for your particular book business? There are people on eBay that are doing fantastic.
Mhm.
Why didn't it work for your particular business?
It was the sell through rate. Books have a very slow sell through rate, meaning the amount that sells at any given time. And I had niched to basically pulp paperback books. Here's an example of one for watching the YouTube. They're little
Nora
tiny
Roberts,
rinky-dink
yes, you're
things.
right. Nora Roberts, very good.
Um, and the buyer pool is there. They do buy. They just don't buy as frequently as I would like them to. Except when they have extra money from COVID, they'll buy like their candy, and they'll buy multiples, multiple quantity purchases. They'll buy more than one item at a time, essentially. For those that don't know what that is, and it's great when that happens. And if you do other types of books, I'll say newer books, you'll sell them faster, but for less money. Now, if you do even older books like the antiquarian books, things written from the 1800s, 1700s, you're going to get a lot more dollars, but you're going to wait an extraordinarily long time to get those dollars, because the buyer pool is there. They just they may save up their entire savings for a year to buy one book, a multiple $1,000 book or a high $100 book, because that's the book they want. They want the definitive collector. No one else has this kind of book. So unless you do huge volume in antiquarian, there's very few people that are able to do volume with antiquarian, because these books are scarce. That's why you're able to put so much dollars on them.
Sure.
It's hard to scale that. I'm wanting to scale. I wanting to go big. And for people not wanting to go big, like on a part-time or hobby level, just to get like cruise ship money, you can do whatever kind of book business you want. But for somebody trying to scale a business to see what's the highest I can get with it, my eBay model wasn't going to work for my financial personal business goals, if that makes any kind of sense. So I had to move into Amazon to make that more feasible.
So, when you were looking at your business, you were assessing your eBay business. What were kind of the indicators or some of the writing on the wall that this was not working how you wanted it to work, or
You're
the
gonna hate me over this one, but I cranked the
potential to not
promoted.
work correctly?
Right, right. I cranked the promoted listings up to 35% just to see what would happen to my buyer pool. Sales stayed the same. And that was okay. Everybody's seeing my product. Nobody's paying 35% promoted listings. I just wanted to
So,
see what it would do.
so explain. You boosted your promoted listings rate up to 35%. Sales stayed the same. What did you gather from that?
That the market cap, I was already at my lower rate, which was at 10%. I had already reached the maximum at 10%. Doesn't matter if I was giving eBay 35% or 10%, the buyer pool was the same. So
There were
why
no
give
more
eBay more
buyers for
money
you.
when I don't have to?
Right. There were no more buyers on
There were
eBay
no
for you.
more buyer. I've reached the upper echelon of the buyer pool.
So once you saw that there were no more buyers on eBay, you're storing all of these items. You figure out, you know what, in order for me to reach the sales goal that I want, I need to have X size storage. You have X size store, I need to store X number of books. And you look around at these four walls and you go, wait a second, that's not going to work out very well.
Yeah, I think Jared, who runs the media call, him and I sat down even before I had this information for the promoted listings. And we figured, based off a larger media store, that I would need about 60,000 active eBay listings to make, I believe it was close to 200,000 cleared back to me, is what I would need to do.
Hey,
And
that's
I
not
could
bad
raise
though,
my
man.
prices or I could raise my volume. You can do any kind of things to reach that number. But at the end of
Yeah.
the day, what was feasible, what was proven to work to us based off another store was about 60,000 units. And that was,
60,000 books for 200 grand. That's not bad, Johnny B.
yeah,
But you have goals for more than that, right?
I have goals for more than that. And 60,000 units on eBay doing the full photos, the descriptions, the item specifics, and on a manual basis, no hardware or software, me doing 72, and then how much staff do I need to get to 60K? The numbers start to add up. This isn't a quick play. This is a very long-term play. I'm wanting to go a little faster than that.
Gotcha. So you brought up antiquarian books.
Yes.
Why do you like antiquarian books so much?
I don't like antiquarian books. My books, like this one here, they're what we call vintage. They're like
But
from the
but Johnny
40s
B,
to 60s.
you like looking at them. We talk about them. You're the
I do like
antiquarian
looking
go-to
at them,
guy.
but
So
they're
maybe you don't like selling them, but you appreciate them, I guess.
I do. I do appreciate them. My issue with them is there's a lot of research involved with not a lot of places to research them because sometimes you have the first one that's ever been on the internet. There's nothing to look up because it doesn't exist on the internet. Huh, what's it worth? Well, let me call a few of my book friends and they go, huh, what's it worth? I don't know. Throw a number up and hope for the best. That's pretty much how the antiquarian market goes. Now, if you get lucky, there's been a past sale like 4 years ago, but that was 4 years ago. What's it worth today? Does the one buyer who wanted it already acquire it? There's no more buyer for that antiquarian book because the one guy who wants this obscure book already has it. So it's a hard game to figure out.
So has your sourcing strategy changed um, now that you have implemented Amazon as well on top of eBay, or are you sourcing the same?
The storefront had an adverse effect. I was wanting to get rid of my junk, but that brought a lot more inventory in, which became very much more Amazonable. So that in itself changed the way I sourced. I didn't want to open up the storefront. I was very resistant to it. I thought it'd be a big headache and nightmare. Um, and it turned out to be probably the smartest thing I did.
Hmm.
Because I have inventory coming to me. That's the one of the biggest plays in this game is to get inventory just to come to you more frequently. Um, I got a lot of donations, and I just started Amazon, and then I started looking through them more and went back through the entire storefront, checking everything for Amazon. And the amount I could send into Amazon with the storefront fundamentally changed my Amazon business. I'm just able to send in so much more that way. I don't go out and source very much these days. I'll do a couple libraries that I've already networked with, and I'll do their annual clean out kind of deal. I have some people in Florida. I mean, we met when I went down there the first time. They mail me gaylords of these kind of books, honestly, and these are great. Some of those can go to Amazon, but they're mainly meant for my eBay store. But my rule is if it can go to Amazon, it will go to Amazon because it's gone. It's out of my
Sure,
life. It's at the
sure,
warehouse.
sure. So, how do you? I mean, the way that I envision the storefront in this small town is like almost like a corral where like two doors open up and they go after them. So like that's what I envision. And I envision just a bunch of books and like no one even tells you that they're there. They just like leave money on the counter and they take a book and go home. Which is probably not the case, but that's just my imagination. So
I mean, your
which is might
imagination's not far off. You're close.
okay.
I remember I had to go somewhere once, and somebody had taped money to my door, and I have books outside.
Okay.
They could have just taken them. I would have never known. But they were polite enough to, I guess, have scotch tape in their car, and they taped money on my door. So when I got back, I had money there. I'm like, what? And then, oh, they bought books, I guess.
So, all right. So they come in and they buy the books. When someone comes in to donate books, is there like an assessment that you do? Are they looking for money, or do you just take every book and you have a bin in the corner and drop your books over here? I'll look at them later. How does that process go?
So they'll come in the door, and right in front of them is a gigantic whiteboard with instructions. And the biggest words I have on there are ring bell. I have a little like countertop hotel type bell that they ring, and I'll come out there, and I only get up for two things, money or books. So when I come out, I instantly know which one of the two they're giving me. It's money or books. They either have money in their hands or they have an armful of books. Like if it's an armful of books, I'll ask them, are you looking to donate them? Or are you wanting to get paid for them? I also offer trading. Are you wanting to trade your books? Buy, sell, trade, right? So, and 95% of the time it's just donate. Here are the books. See ya. I'm like, okay. And so I take them all to answer your question. I'll bring them into my office section to process them. Um, Doing that, you'll get damaged books, highlighted, water damaged, or it's bent funny. Those books I still sell. My outside books that I have a literal dime rack for, I charge a dime for those books, and they sit outside so the weather and elements get to them. But I'll have little old ladies who like that. They'll buy 100 books at a time. But when you're charging 10 cents each, 100 books it's very affordable to them.
Sure.
I also have people that come out and buy those books for like arts and crafts type projects, and what I assume to be quite a bit of a hoarder audience who just buys 300 of them. I don't know what they do with them. I've asked if they read them, they say no. I asked if they're crafted, they say no. They don't want to tell me what they do with them, and I'm not going to ask what they do with them, but they take a lot of them.
So you pretty much have the full gamut here. You got the books that are damaged that you can still, you're getting them for
Monetize to
free.
some extent, yeah.
Yeah, monetize to some extent, all the way up to the very best books that either go on Amazon or go on eBay. And I think, a lot of people they want this kind of holy grail of, I want to buy in bulk. I want to have people sell to me. But like this is the other side of that discussion is like if you're going to buy in bulk, if you're going to have people bringing you inventory, you're going to have to figure out a way or several ways to monetize the items that are not eBayable or not good for Amazon or Poshmark or whatever your platform is. So like for me, when I changed the model where during COVID where everything was closed, I started networking, have people bringing me clothes. Shortly after that, I really started pumping the brick and mortar store. And that is my avenue to sell the items that are not eBayable for a profit. Because I'll get a
Yeah.
shirt that is a very cool all over print flame skull shirt. Very cool. I can see Johnny B wearing it. Very cool. But Johnny B can't find that on eBay unless he searches very cool flame all over print skull shirt. And no one is searching that. But if you see it on a rack, you'll buy it. Hey, $30, $50, I'll take this. This is great. So if you are going to buy in bulk, if you are going to buy, more than one item at a time, or have people bringing you stuff, this is the other side of that conversation, where you are going to have to think of other ways to monetize these items, whether it's a garage sale once a quarter, you go to the flea market once a quarter, you dump it on Johnny B's desk and ring the bell once a quarter.
Yeah.
You sell it to another reseller that has maybe a different set of metrics, OfferUp, Let Go, Facebook Marketplace. You're going to have to find a way to, at best, monetize the items that are not eBayable, or break even at worst.
Yeah.
And because if you're losing money on them, what happens is, people go, as an example, I spent $100 on 100 items. I threw 50 of them away, so my cost basis is $1 each. No, your average cost just went up by double, because half of them went into the trash.
Yeah.
So like you can't like do that kind of bookkeeping where like I bought 100 items and I threw 99 away, so like I spent $1 for this item. No, you spent $100 for that item, and now you're going to be underwater. So all of this comes into play when you get to thinking about networking and having people bring you inventory. And I think people should get their own inventory for as long as possible before they make their life way more complicated with all of these other avenues that are needed when you get to this level. But on the flip side of that flip side, with everything that's happening with the thrift stores, they're raising their prices, their rent is going up, their labor is going up, the space is getting more competitive. We have to figure out ways to eventually, like we talked about the other day on the 100K call, to kind of go upstream in order to find our inventory. Because the thrift stores are great. There's this magical place where you can open the door, the AC hits you right in the face, it's well lit, the people are nice, everything is presented to you on a rack or on a bookshelf, and it's a beautiful place. They allow us to make profit, like voluntarily allow us to make profit, which is great. But what happens in the next couple of years, where there's more advancements in technology with AI, where you could zap a picture of a book, zap a picture of a shirt, it tells you exactly what it is. And now maybe the thrift stores have changed forever, and where are you going to get your inventory? Because we were talking about the other day, Google Lens was horrible 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Now you can zap anything on Google Lens. It'll bring you right to an eBay listing of exactly what you're looking for. So, so going upstream, going one step up on the ladder, getting the inventory either before the thrift, or getting the inventory in a different avenue. The lowest hanging fruit of any kind of business, of any kind of model, of any kind of competition, the lowest hanging fruit is always the first to go. And the thrift store is a pretty low hanging fruit. So maybe talk about a little bit like that. Maybe what do you see in the future of your business, or in the future of reselling altogether? Because this is also interesting. There's tons of videos out there about resellers are going out of business, but like they never tell you why.
Yeah, that's true.
They just have the
They're
title
just gone.
Of is reselling coming to an end? But like they don't say why. It's just, it's coming to an end, and we just need to accept it, Johnny B. But Johnny B, reselling has been around before the Bible. Like it's not going anywhere.
Very much
But
so.
Johnny, it's coming to an end.
Yeah. So it's not coming to an end. You just have to adjust our game. Even pre-Bible days. I mean, we don't stand in the middle of the alley with everybody else shilling their will. We have the internet now. So the game's
Right.
just changed. It's just different. As far as what makes our lives harder and what will continue to make our lives harder in the future, as we mentioned, technology, blessing and curse. AI, I think, will take a lot of the labor out of us, but it also speed up the more volume type sellers, and it's hard to compete. Your competition just got smarter too. You got smarter and your competition got smarter at the same time. So it's harder from a competitive standpoint. The mail, your shipping labels, those are constantly going up. I don't see that changing anytime soon. So you may have a $10 item, but it costs $10 just shipping. People aren't going to want to do that. So your items that you're sourcing is going to have to change. So you may have to drive 3 hours to get proper items instead of 15 minutes to the local thrift. Now, speaking of thrifts, we've all seen the fee hikes there. So your cost of goods has now gone up, right? If you're using tools for your Amazon sellers, those will go up. Your subscription things, everything goes up. So your quality of items inevitably will have to go up, but all the fees associated with that, your travel, the cost of goods, everything is gonna go up. Um, I think we're at the point where okay, we could do all that, or we could go up the ladder, as you said, or go upstream, or put whatever analogy you want on that. Me, I created a pseudo thrift store, more or less. So I don't have to worry about the cost of fee thing going up. Every other fee, I have to worry about Amazon fees, mailing fees, subscription fees for tools and stuff. Those I still have to deal with. Now, as time goes on, maybe I'll have solutions to those. Maybe I sell in such a volume where my shipping label cost will go down dramatically. So we have to start thinking along those avenues. Or maybe instead of selling, and I mentioned this on the 100K call, maybe instead of selling on the platforms themselves, at least for a time, you may be able to do both, but maybe you just sell to other resellers, getting more in the wholesale to reseller type games. You buy it for $1, you sell it to reseller B for 4 kind of deal. You don't do any listings anymore. Your job is solely to buy and logistically get it from point A to point B if they ain't coming to pick it up. Um, and then maybe you open a freight company and you're now the freight guy who goes in between wholesaler A to reseller B, right? I mean, there's all kinds of plays to be had. Both you and I have done brick and mortars. Um, or maybe you make a competitive to half price books and books a million. Maybe you get into new products. We're all in the used market, right? What about the new market? Or maybe you get into manufacturing. Maybe I make my own books and now I can both sell them at new and I have manufacturing behind me or manufacture whatever you're selling. Um, there's also social media, right? Let me just let me just make YouTube videos or podcasts. That's how I'm going to make the majority of my money versus the reselling part, just because the money and fee structure is better maybe on social media. I'm not saying it is, but this is just speculation of ideas to noodle on. What can I do to go up instead of being at the bottom of the pool playing down here? I want to go to the deep end of the pool. How do I go deeper into this? Versus, I think Arwen was mentioning he had no time to think about his business, but that's the most crucial thing I think we do is thinking about our business, how to do our business better and go beyond our business for maybe future businesses kind of deal. And I'm going all in left kinds of fields here, but that's on purpose. I just gave you like 30 ideas. Just focus on one or start thinking of your 30 own ideas. Don't have to copy and paste what I'm saying. You may have the best idea that I never thought of over there. Go do that.
I think, having an idea and thinking outside of the box, like there's not a lot of creativity in the reselling space. It's a lot of, hey, look at this, and then everybody will go do it. But for me, like I have thought outside of the box several different times, and every single time that I have figured out the best method that I could do with the situation that I'm dealt, or the cards that I dealt, that has totally taken my business to another level. So for you, if we're talking about going upstream, and then maybe networking with people or getting access to inventory that isn't a thrift store per se. Um, Maybe tell us a little bit about, or as much as you can, where you got on a plane from Texas, came all the way to Florida, got a bunch of stuff, solidified a relationship, and you circumvented going to the thrift store or going to a garage sale or going to a flea market and now have access to pallets and pallets of books.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the best first step because that just immediately improves your business, finding connections like that. Um, and that's hard for people to do. I understand. I hear how do I do this kind of deal? And honestly, it's networking. I'm on a podcast. I'm in like 4 or 5 groups in addition to reseller greatness here. It's just networking, putting myself out there amongst the communities, which is mainly books and or Amazon and or eBay. I'm part of all three, right? So I can spread myself out a little bit that way. Um, does that take time away from doing my business day to day? Yes, but the investment for my time for a relationship more than worth it, pays for itself time and time again. um I get offered deals that way. I I get offered. I had another person come down to my storefront. I offered him to pick from my eBay pile as well in my queue that wasn't already listed, and they bought storefront books. That was an easy $500 instantly. Just one phone call, and he came to me. Because he has to come to me. I have the stuff. It ain't going to him. Didn't take any more time out of my day, but that was an additional $500 for that day, and that's just a one-off, for instance, of what you could do. Um,
That's really smart because when I say Johnny B, it's synonymous with the book shepherd every single time. Like you have branded yourself with
yeah, it's
everything
right here in
behind
my
you.
little Zoom name too. Everybody knows exactly who I am and what I do instantly.
That's right. And it's always behind you and you're the go-to guy for our group for like the antiquarium, the book stuff and that is how you get into the deal flow as you become known as somebody that is
Yes,
looking for these items or can process these items or can facilitate these deals. And you spoke about Arwen and Arwen, he's been very vocal about he wants to do shoes. He's doing shoes. He's doing a great job. Someone has a deal for shoes. They only sell clothing.
exactly.
What happened? They pass Arwen the deal because Arwen is the shoe guy. He's positioned himself as someone who wants shoes. So for you, you have positioned yourself which I think is very smart, into different places on the internet, on a podcast, in the groups. And when someone comes up on something that maybe isn't for them, and they are a bookseller, hey, this deal's not for me. Bang, maybe it could be for Johnny
Yeah,
B.
they got thrown my way a few times. Exactly. Even from Reseller Greatness Group. It happens all the time.
Right. So, or if I sell clothes, but I come across a bunch of books and I'm like, you know what? I know a little bit about books because I listened to the media call. Maybe this is a good opportunity for Johnny B. Johnny B, he could take the football, he can score the touchdown. So you came all the way to Florida
Yeah.
pretty much by this type of thing happening.
Right. I did a podcast with the gentleman. He's into books. I'm into books. He does not like the books I like. So I was a solution to his problem. And as I'm running a big operation here. You just want to come down and check it out. Well, actually, he wanted me to buy him. I'm like, no, I don't do that. I have to look at him first. So I was like, I'll come down there. And it was mostly correct. I gave the staff a little bit of corrections to, I need more of this and less of this. But from now on, guys can just mail it, and that's what we've been doing since. But I had to do the initial go down. It was expensive. Um, and a little bit of education from me to them because they don't know. They're just looking at a book. A book's a book to them. Like,
Sure,
no, not
sure.
all book is a book that I want to buy. Yeah, they're both books, but they're not everyone is a purchasable book for my business.
Absolutely. So you came down here, you built that relationship, and now this is something that's reoccurring. They send you a
Absolutely.
couple pallets in the mail and you sort through them and you put them up on eBay. And these books are books that never get into the reseller ecosystem. Like
Mhm.
how many items, great items, are never even getting into the reseller ecosystem because somebody has went one step up, one level up of the ladder, and they are now the one getting those books because, like you said, they've put their name out there. So, like when I go to the flea markets, when I go to my local flea market, I'm El Presidente. Everyone knows me out there. I've been going there for years. They know me. When I go to these new flea markets, which I do on purpose in the videos to show you that I have no advantages, I'm just out here. I'm looking for product, but I'm not looking for product. I'm looking for the people that have the product. I'm looking for people. I'm looking for relationships. I'm looking for people that go to the bins and can sell to me. I'm looking for people that maybe do liquidation and can sell to me, that maybe have a large collection and they can sell to me. Those are the people that I'm looking for at the flea market. I'm not out there looking for one Tommy Bahama shirt. It's not what I'm looking for. If I can find it and see it, great. If I can find two pieces of Lululemon, great. But I'm looking for the person where I can establish a business relationship and get these items out of the reseller ecosystem before they even come in. Like all of my stuff never even hits the streets for anybody else. It goes automatically my way. And it has been doing that for a long time. And that's when my business totally transformed because once upon a time, I was looking for item by item by item. When I
Yeah.
started looking for the people who had the items, that's when my business changed.
Right. And no, the same exact thing. I mean, even recently, I went to somebody linked their eBay storefront. Don't ever do this. And it was a bookstore and it was in my book group. And I took a look at it and it's mainly stuff I sell. And I messaged him, how would you like to get rid of it all? And I'll give you money right now. And he's like, you mean all of it? I'm like, all of it. And he's like, yeah, I'll do that deal. I'm like,
Nice.
okay, great. Um, and I was like, okay, you want to sell more of this? I have plenty of stuff. So I gave him money, right? And then he gave me the money back and then some when he pulled books from my store. So I made money by buying,
Sure.
essentially. And people don't think about deals like that. Like you may spend money to have money come back to you, the circulation of money amongst resellers, whether it's wholesale or whatever, which is this was kind of a similar to that. Um, Additionally, my storefront, I made a prototype out here that I expected to be a terrible idea, as a great idea. Now it's like, okay, how do I take my prototype and make it bigger? So I'm thinking about locations, this, that, and the other for the long term. So if I move here, am I able to network better? And if once I do that, can I then build multiple little like satellites? You and I have talked about that a little bit as well in different cities and or the same city and kind of like spider web it out. Because yeah, I'm the book guy, but if you have a whole chain of these, it's no longer a person, an individual, it's a entity. It's this kind of thing and versus the person. You're more established, you're more credible, and even more deals come your way. And then you can start exploring, okay, I have all of this, my capacity, output capacity is more than I or less than I'm able to do. Now I need to make a couple of phone calls, maybe bring in some people to just to wholesale it off because there's too much coming in at that point. That's the whole idea. Once you have so much coming into you, how do you make it go away? It's always the fight of how do I make it go away? Because then it doesn't matter if it sells for, like I was mentioning earlier, a quarter. Fine. It all goes for a quarter now. That's fine. I'm getting even more money because of it.
Yeah, and more money, more cash flow. That way you can buy more items to ultimately send into the Amazon machine
Right.
because that's
Exactly.
that's the top of the hill right there, the king of the castle. So, all right, so you talked about maybe putting yourself in a different location, maybe into a town with I don't know 35,000 people instead of 3,500 people. Johnny B,
Yeah.
what are your what are your thoughts of putting yourself into a different location? Potentially and how that's going to impact the business.
Basically, I made it off a geographical kind of decision, and these are my long-term goals here. So, what is the center of my state or close to that's a fairly large town in itself? And then what amenities does it have? And amenities, when you're talking about cities, I mean, what's it known for? In my case, there's a notable college there. Um, and logistically, it's 2 hours no matter where you go to other bigger major cities. So your rent's going to be cheaper. It's a sizable city, but it's not the biggest. So your rent's going to be cheaper because it has a college in it. Labor is going to be fairly cheap because college kids are always looking for a job and they don't necessarily want to smell like fries every day. So if you offer an alternative with same pay or better pay, they're going to come to you instead. And because they're a college kid, they either want money or they want flexibility of time. And when you run a business where you could offer both, that's ideal to them. And then foot traffic in my case for brick and mortar to have more inbound to me, right? So I can then have greater outbound. So it all plays with each other. And thinking about plays like that for your business, you don't have to think about it from brick and mortar perspective, but just for your own reselling business, if you use the same methodologies, your business will exponentially grow.
So can this open up another avenue for you as well? Because selling textbooks on Amazon could be a little sketchy. Selling textbooks on eBay
Yeah.
can be a little sketchy. Every single college and university right around the corner has that used bookstore. Could
Mhm.
you now maybe lean more on that and be the guy who buys the books at the end of the semesters for penny on the dollar and turn
Yes.
around and flip those as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought
Right
about that because I
inside the
don't
bookstore,
do
not
a
back
lot of
onto
textbooks in
Amazon.
my area. I do
Right.
very little right now, but that then offers an opportunity for something I don't do. And either I deal with it myself or, hey, I know a bunch of textbook guys. I'm just going to wholesale them to that and be done. I'm now the funnel to them for that product. Um, and because there's a whole lot of risk when you're in textbooks.
Yeah.
I may be too risk adverse for that myself, but I can make phone calls and get rid of that stuff same day.
Is that something that you've been thinking about as well?
It has been actually. I haven't really talked about it till just now, but yeah, it's
You see
definitely
that?
something I've been
You
thinking
want to
about.
make some money? I know how to make money, Johnny B.
Uh-huh.
So So
Yeah,
all
yeah.
right, so what would you do? You would just advertise, get your name out, be close enough to the school or to the college. That's going to be
Mhm.
very important. And I guess just have a price list and say, you know what, this is what we're paying. Either take the money or get lost or sell it yourself.
Yeah.
And then would you sell it back in the storefront or would you, at a reduced used rate to more college kids, or go the route like you said, maybe wholesale it out to other
I
people that
probably
are more
lean more into the
comfortable?
wholesale because I take on zero risk. I make more money and it's out the door, either by freight or they come pick it up.
So,
Um,
what are the risks of selling textbooks? People probably don't know.
sure, and that's fair. Counterfeit claims are very intensive on Amazon and somewhat on eBay. Very more so on Veros because some publishers will hit you with the equivalent of a cease and desist. Stop selling our stuff. And when you get one of that, um, so many offenses of those, and with Amazon it's worse. So many offenses of those, they could shut down your account. They could suspend your account. You're out of operations for a period of time. On Amazon, you may get it one time and you're permanently banned, gone. See ya. Thanks for doing business with us for X amount of years. We don't care. You messed up one time and zero tolerance for that.
Right. Yeah. Because they
So
do
that's what
make
scares me. I don't want to go out of business for one deal.
because they do make fake textbooks.
Yes.
So they make fake textbooks. Some of them are easier to tell, some of them are harder to tell.
Hmm.
And there are companies out there that just don't want you selling their textbook, whether it's
Yep.
real or not real. They'll do test buys and they'll check it out. And if they feel like they don't want you selling it, they give you the good news, and then you're on your way. So you knowing that there's still people out there willing to take the risk or have a way to monetize those things, and then you just wholesale it out to them.
Yeah. I mean, it's like people drive through red lights or people don't pay their taxes. How many people get caught doing either? And those people decide to play those games. Me, I want to be in business a long, long time and I want zero risk in my business.
Yeah.
I'll sell to the guy who wants to do all risk all day long. I'll supply him, but I don't want to be him.
Sure. And there are people that have built, a beautiful textbook business, but like you said, it may they be in business forever? Maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe they're in business for tomorrow, maybe. Maybe they have their own local brick and mortar store where they can sell the items, or they have a way to monetize them. So you never know. There's a million ways that people can make money with certain things, but I don't know. I think that would be an interesting idea. If you can find a location that's affordable enough, big enough, close enough to the school, you might be raking in the dough every single semester on the textbooks, my friend.
Right. Not only that, and some of my grander plans, and this is just like one of many. I want to set up the events for like the entire community. Like here's my personal book fair that I run every year that I'm known for and my store's known for, and make it big and do it right. And then try to get the community involved. Like, hey, have that college come down, sell their books. Don't care what they sell them for. I don't want a penny from them. I just want again put myself out there and be known more. And then if I do it again in another city and another city and another city, maybe now it's a national event that it's now nationally known. So thinking on those kind of lines, how do I go deeper in the pool? How do I make this bigger, badder, and better every iteration I do that? This is what I constantly think about and can't stop thinking about. Things like that.
How much of this bigger plan or these bigger ideas, how much of it is you just trying to get more known and in front of more people?
Right now, I would say that is primarily the focus. Down the road, once all of that's said and done, I get to step back a little bit more, and it's not necessarily me myself. I'm the business right now,
Mm-hmm.
but once the business is the business entity itself, that's a whole different thing, and I can step back a little further from it and concentrate on new business ventures because I like to think about okay, again, in the fun Amazon you can no longer sell books scenario, what do you do? So I need to have other businesses that are outside of Amazon, that aren't Amazonable, that aren't eBayable, that aren't my brick and mortar, right? How do I have more security, protect myself? And in the business world, it's called moating yourself. How do I have full protection in my business castle that I'm running? And to me, that's having businesses that may be adjacent to reselling or not adjacent to reselling. And my preference is I want things that aren't online that can't be done, like laundromats, storage units, liquor stores, even though you can get liquor delivered nowadays. But still makes a fair bit of money. Those kind of things, gas stations, grocery stores, things like that. Those are secure, will always be around. They'll never go out of business.
Very good. So, as your business grows, instead of you getting out in the front of people, then your business has to get out in front of people. And for
Exactly.
me, as I got more known at the flea market, more people wanted to do more deals with me.
Yep.
As I got more known on social media, and I do a horrible job at doing that, I probably haven't posted in over a year on Instagram. But as I got more known on Instagram back in the day for making cool posts about finding a bunch of stuff, more people wanted to do business with me. They had cool stuff, they want to sell it. As I started doing this podcast, more people know me, more people want to do business, more people want to sell me stuff or buy stuff. And if nobody knows you, nobody can do business with you. And
Absolutely.
and a lot of this is just about relationships. And in every business, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And in reselling, a large part of that is not what you know, who you know, because there's people that don't know much, but they know the right person and they get a lot of good deal flow and they can make a lot of money just by knowing the right people. And knowing the right people in this space are the people with the product, whether it's a Goodwill store can be a person that you go there, you have a relationship with that store, not the management, not nothing, under where we're supposed to be, but that store is an entity that has become known to you, therefore you go to that store. So like that store is an individual person, you have a relationship with that store. You could do it with a vendor, you could do it with, someone locally, you can do it with a storage unit seller, you could do it with a distributor of books, you could do it any kind of way. But a lot of people, that's outside of their comfort zone, that is, they're shy or they're introvert. And contrary to popular belief, I don't talk to a lot of people in real life. I have a job to do on here, and my job is to talk. But like, if I was a member of this group, Johnny B, I would never raise my hand. I would never talk. That's
Would your
that's
camera
my
be off? Would you be
Yeah,
one of
my
those with the
camera
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 off?
would be off. My camera would
Okay.
be off. That's not my personality. I never raised my hand in school. I never went out of my way to talk to anyone. Once I open up, I can talk forever. But it is outside of my comfort zone to make a relationship, to spark a conversation. That's not me. Contrary to what you guys see, I'm here to perform a job and a duty. That's why I talk. But I know it's outside of the comfort zone. I know it's hard for people to put themselves out there. I guess, what kind of ideas or suggestions do you have to, I guess, kind of put yourself in front of people and to make that introduction or form that relationship? What has worked for you?
Being purposely loud. I am very vocal in every group I'm in. Um, Again, that does take away time contributing because I could be like you said, I could be in the background working. That'd be more productive for my business. But because of me being productive, loud, contributing to conversations, that's more than worth it versus the time I lose doing a couple listings or a couple boxes. It's more than worth it. Um, so again, like me, some stratagems I've done. I mean, we already mentioned one, making what I do in my name tag there. It literally says book in my name.
Yeah,
Instantly, even if my camera was off, you still know who I am and what I do.
sure,
So think of business cards are good for that. That's another instant way of people knowing exactly who you are. You need to be able to be identified on site, not necessarily by your name, by what you sell and what you do.
sure.
Um, I don't get called by my name locally. I get called book guy. I'm
Book
the
guy.
book guy. That's who I am.
Yeah,
I don't
I'm the
have a
clothing
name
guy.
beyond that. You're the clothes guy. Yeah.
Yeah,
You're identified by what you do. So, and nobody's going to know what you do if you stand in the corner with your cart covered or and everything. You're not going to have things come your way. But reseller B, I'm talking for you thrift people mainly, sees what's in your cart. I got one of these, want to trade with your lesser things that's better for me? And they do. Deals are made that way too. Um, Letting people know what you don't deal with. Prime example, if you mention Nora Roberts over and over again, people start to think you buy Nora Roberts. I got offered 60,000 of them last year. I'm like, no, why? Well, you talk about these romance novels all the time. I thought you wanted them. No, I absolutely don't want those. Those are the worst things. I never want those. So being more specific, giving more specifics on what you do, people hold back because they want to protect or they assume to protect what they're selling to such a degree. They become so insulated. Me, I'm the opposite. I mean, for books, it may be different in clothes. For books, they're everywhere. They're abundant. There's room for one and all. Even the video game guys, they talk more publicly, but there's room for everybody at the table there. So it's okay, I think, to give. I mean, if you have a doesn't sell very often but sells for good money, yeah, maybe hold that stuff back. But everything else is pretty much commonplace for one and all. Um, etiquette, being nice. If you're a jerk all the time, no one's going to want to deal with you. They're going to avoid you even. Oh, you get identified. You're the jerk guy. You're no longer the book guy. You're the
Yeah, the
jerk
jerk
guy.
guy. Yeah. Oh, you don't want to be that guy.
You don't want to be that guy. You will get no business that way. So I'm usually polite, but I'm also curt. I give them what they need to hear, but I don't go about it in such a jerk fashion. I mean, maybe a little bit there. I am a little bit assertive in that regard, I guess, but I want to get my point across because I want to get back to business quickly usually. I do this more so in the other groups than your group. In your group, I'm pretty nice, but there's a kind of a militaristic thing going on. Everybody's on the same page. Go forward, do this, move on, do business.
That's right. So you got to get in line, Johnny B.
Exactly. So the
But
snap too works in this group. Other groups, I gotta be a little bit more aggressive.
you're absolutely right. So for me, by myself, I think my best year, I know it was over a million, but I think it was like 1.2 million. Once I started to step outside of my comfort zone, meet people, talk to people, in a very short period of time, my business went to $5 million. And that I wasn't doing anything different other than making the relationships, making my life easier of having, 50 pieces instead of me going out trying to find 50 pieces. And like you said, books, clothes, no matter what the widget is, even the most competitive widget of video games, there is still way more video games than any
Yeah.
one, two, 10, 20, 100 people can buy. And those guys, they're sharing their sauce, and all of those people, and even for me, I started coming on here. I've been talking about reselling on a podcast since 2017. I've given away every single secret that I have, Johnny B. My business has not gone down to zero. In fact, my business has probably grown at one of the most rapid pace since 2017. Despite giving away all the secrets to the castle, my business is okay because more people know me, more people give me deal flow. I'm more identifiable. I'm in front of more people. I'm getting more items, and therefore I can sell more items. So I used to be very, very secretive. I used to be of a very much more of a scarcity mentality. But one day, I don't remember what it was, but it was probably me coming across a bunch of items that before that have perceived as rare. And once I saw, like, this stuff is not rare, it's everywhere. I can walk into any thrift store in America and replace this item. It doesn't matter. Once that light switch flipped, once I started doing deals of maybe 20 pieces for a couple of weeks, and I'm getting good stuff for a good price, they're happy with the price, I'm happy with the stuff. I just need to do more of this. And the more I started networking, the more I started putting myself out at the flea market. I used to be secretive at the flea market too. Why? I have no idea. I have no idea why I used to be secretive at the flea market. Now, when people say, "Oh, are you a reseller? Do you sell these things?" I go, "Yeah, I have a little store in South Florida." "Oh, yeah, bang, here's more." Or, "What kind of stuff are you looking for?" Never one time have I said, "Oh yeah, I have a little store in South Florida." Has someone yanked the stuff out of my hand and took it back? Never one
Here,
time.
here's a fun one. In my book group, I regretted doing this initially, but now I'm so thankful I did it. I gave away something I sell on a regular basis for decent money because people were asking me my vintage paperback questions, and I gave them a good example. And I'm not going to say what it is on this
Go
podcast,
ahead,
but
Johnny B. No one listens. No one
no one
listens, Johnny.
listens.
No, don't.
And I started seeing photos come up. Hey, look, I got what Johnny B said. Blah blah blah. And then what happened? I was annoyed. Like, oh great, they're tapping into this thing I thought was all mine, right? And then what
Mm-hmm.
happened? These people are like, we don't want to sell them ourselves. Would you like them? I started getting a lot of yeah. See, because I gave that away, all this came back to me in the form of
Sure,
deals that were better than me holding on and keeping that and sourcing it myself. So
sure.
I not only saved myself time, I got more product and can now make more money by giving some piece of information away. And that's crazy to me. But
It's Yeah, it seems counterintuitive. but it's not. I don't know how to explain it. That if you have books in the background, if your name is Johnny B the Book Shepherd, like now you start getting books. Like it's a very, very weird thing. But it's just about getting known. It's just about having these conversations, making these relationships, getting involved with things, maybe stepping outside of your comfort zone. And, a lot of things that we want are on the other side of questions that maybe we're too afraid to ask. And
Mhm.
my favorite question of all time, Johnny B, you might know it, is do you have any more? It works
Yes.
great. It works great. Do you have any more? Oh, yes, actually, I do. And then when they show you that, you ask them again, do you have any more?
Mhm.
Actually, I do. Do you have any more? And then by that time, after you look through that, you look at them and you go, you know what I'm going to say? Yes, I do have more still. Okay, great. Let's go over there and let's look at them. Where
I got all
before,
day if you got the product.
yeah, where before I would just take my little ones. I would be too bashful to even interact with the vendor. I would pay and I would be up the road. But the questions and the relationships and talking to people and you know finding good people, that totally revolutionized my business, man. And it sounds like it did the same for you. So, Johnny
Absolutely.
B, if you have any final words or any parting words or any wise words for the folks out there, leave them with that. Tell them where they can find you. I enjoyed this conversation. I know for all the eBay sellers out there, we're talking to a big, big, bad, evil Amazon guy, but we can learn things from people that are outside of our niche. So, like for me, if I was a clothing seller or a toy seller, what Johnny B is talking about for the relationships is invaluable. And that is what I would take from this conversation. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter what the widget is. All of these things translate no matter what widget language we want to speak inside of our reselling business. So, Johnny B, I appreciate you. I appreciate your contributions to the media call. I appreciate you keeping Jared honest with the record. I do appreciate that.
Record's very
Um,
important.
so I do appreciate everything that you bring to the group, and I appreciate when I tag you on a post of a book. I search at Johnny B, bang, you come up and you give them the good news. So I appreciate all the wisdom and all the knowledge that you bring because it's very helpful. And even though I don't sell books, I enjoy the conversation and I always learn something from the media call. So I appreciate that.
You're welcome. As far as final words, we'll save that one for a minute. But where you can find me is on YouTube at the Used Book Guy. I have a little podcast section with I'm going to call him a co-host this time, even though I'm his co-host. My co-host, Mike. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. We always appreciate that. And we have tons of knowledge over there. Also, this group, Resellers Mindset Group. You can get even more of me as well. So you can find me in either one of these locations. As far as my parting words, don't be afraid to try something nobody's tried before. And just because everybody's telling you it doesn't work doesn't mean it can't work for you. Not everything is copy, paste, and transferable. Your business is yours. And I always say this all the time, you are free to run it how you see fit. Don't be afraid of that ever.
Johnny B, you spiked the football at the end right there.
Mhm.
I like it. All right, Johnny B, I appreciate you jumping on for us. We're going to have you back on in a couple of weeks, couple of months, reassess, talk about new stuff. So I appreciate you for being on. Thank you, my friend. And
Thank
thank
you.
you, as always. Be great. Thank you.